Who's starting? Should I start?
You start.
By all
Okay.
means.
Go for it.
Hi everyone. My name is Annabelle Zinn. I am the now former vice president of esports at UCF, as well as one of the original co-founding officers. And currently, I work for Evil Geniuses as a brand ambassador. I love my job. And I guess one thing about me that's not esports related, I love playing Final Fantasy 14. I've been playing for six years now. So yeah.
Okay. I love it. I do
My
love some
next-
Final Fantasy 14 stands. I'm a Dragoon myself.
I see.
Go ahead.
Word.
Whoever
right,
wants to
you're
be
up.
next.
All right. So I'm Ezekiel Carsella. Hi. I'm the outgoing president of College Charleston Esports. Much like Annabelle, we're retired gang. Let's go. Marketing major, graduating in May. And I guess I'm interning right now at Squeeze Marketing. It's a digital SEO firm in Charleston, South Carolina. But outside of that, for fun, I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Go recently with me and my roommates. So yeah.
I love to hear it. We love some Pokemon entertainment. I know I really enjoy the summer events that we're pulling off, especially during COVID. That kind of kept me sane.
Really
And now,
fun.
last but not least,
I'm Josh Sides, aka Bo. People call me Bo. Director of esports at Winthrop University. Thing that I like to do outside of esports, I love a good restaurant, getting good food. Thankfully, with COVID restrictions easing up here soon and people getting their vaccines and stuff, be able to get out a little more.
oh yeah. You know what, man? For my own heart, I really do love good food. You can ask Zeke. I kind of almost exclusively talk about food when we're together, or cooking, one of the two.
Yeah, we took the boys out for KBBQ last weekend.
I saw that
Ooh.
on Twitter.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that was nice.
Heck yeah! It looked like they were really excited about it too.
Oh, it was good.
Oh yeah, no doubt. All right. Well, everybody, we'll kind of go down the line here. What made you decide on esports? I feel like it's a very underlooked thing up until recently. And I feel as though in order to make that decision before this big wave hit, what made you consider it? Did it just fall into your lap, or was there some long-term plan?
Yeah, I'll go first. Esports has kind of been a lifelong thing for me. When I was 13, that was a long time ago. Playing StarCraft Brood War on 56K dial-up on BattleNet and stuff like that. I've just always been in love with gaming, online gaming, competitive gaming. I loved it through college. I was staying up till like 4 and 5 in the morning to watch bootleg Brood War streams from Korea. Didn't really ever think that it would become a thing in the U.S. And then it became a thing in the U.S. It's really been awesome to see the esports scene grow, and it's almost like a dream come true to be a part of the esports scene. I never would have guessed coming up through college that I would have an opportunity to be part of the growing esports scene.
I think that's honestly really, I feel like a lot of people's kind of experiences is they kind of grew up gaming and it was just the natural. So I'm really glad to hear that someone who's so successful in the scene really also kind of has that homegrown vibe about it. It's really nice to hear. Here, we'll go down the line. Zeke, go for it.
For me, honestly, my parents didn't like me gaming a lot. So really, going to my friend's house, playing like Halo Reach, playing CSGO at home sometimes. That's where I kind of started playing games mostly. My friend had a GameCube, so I played like Smash and like Mario Kart and stuff. But really, it wasn't until like high school I got into Halo, and then I watched like the Halo 2 anniversary. Like they had like a MCC launch event, and I really loved it. And I was like, that's kind of cool. And it kind of went from there. And I think it wasn't until like I was doing journalism, writing about CSGO and Halo articles when I was like senior year of high school. And I went to my first event, DreamHack Atlanta 2017. And I was like, this is great. I love it. And, I just spent a lot of time. I was a big writer back in the day. Nowadays, it's, my pen is coming to its retirement very soon. But I definitely enjoyed it, just being around people, I love talking to people, meeting new people, friends and all that, and of course playing games. How can you beat that, right? So, but definitely for me, and then collegiate esports is a whole different, obviously, discussion for later today. But for me, esports really it went from, just playing games, and then eventually being a little something a little more, and I really enjoyed it, a lot of it. So yeah.
I think it's certainly kind of it really does check out, I would say, because Zeke is from our very own College of Charleston, and almost immediately he always reaches out to every single new member, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about esports. Really, it's just like the welcoming nature of it. Even though we can get a little bit like competitive, and sometimes get a little bit flustered when we're really in the heat of the moment. I think it's really wonderful to see the communities that come up. And last but not least, go for it. What about you?
So for me, I guess I didn't really mention my major when I introduced myself, but going into college, I was born and raised in Orlando, wasn't really sure where I wanted to go to college, and I decided to go to UCF. Wanted to do biomedical engineering, wanted to study diseases. Imagine if I kept that major, but around the end of 2018, my first semester, I was like, I'm not really enjoying my classes. That was also when NA made Worlds and did really well. Cloud9 did. And I remember watching League of Legends with my friends at 5 in the morning, and it was just something that stuck with me, that I was willing to stay up so late, and I had a great time. And so I just decided to join the gaming club on campus, and that was about February. 2 months later, they had elections, and I ran for esports director, and that was like my first position within a student-led club at UCF. And that's kind of how I got into esports. It was kind of just like a screw it, like leap of faith moment for me, because I wanted to try something because I wasn't enjoying my major. And I felt like I could probably get whatever degree I put my mind to. I just had to find something I enjoyed and then change my major. So now I'm a radio TV major, specializing in live broadcast. And it's been going great ever since.
I really love that we've got some kind of League of Legends folks in for the first panel, because I've been playing League since I was a very little kid. It's why I'm overweight Poro on Twitch and Twitter. I cannot, like, the amount of people I've heard that got into gaming because it was a free game that ran on their laptop, like, insanity. And I really enjoyed the fact that you told the story about, like, how you started in one major and it was that leap of faith, and I think that's just like a really beautiful story to tell. So let's go ahead and pull back into, I guess let's go ahead and let's see, what's some advice you guys would give to people going in that will help them from becoming burnt out and stay enthusiastic about the sport? Whoever wants to start, by all means, and then we can just kind of go down the line.
I guess I can grab this. Going in on the interesting questions already. I think burnout, first off, is very common, especially when we're talking about student-run clubs. In any student-run club, really, it doesn't have to be just esports, but especially in esports, because I think a lot of students are very passionate about esports. They want to get into the industry. They want their teams to do well. It's part of being, a competing club. So for me, at least, when it comes to managing burnout, when you're working a lot, when you're thinking about it all the time, it can kind of like consume, I guess, your thought patterns. And for me, it was like kind of starting to set smaller boundaries to work towards what I thought were healthy boundaries for my work schedule. So, sometimes it's like, hey, like it's 10 o'clock, maybe like we shouldn't have this meeting right now, or I'm going to get you this deliverable on this day, and I'm going to give myself extra time, and I'm not going to rush it. I'm going to focus on school, make sure I have everything taken care of. And also like knowing just like when to say no, like this isn't my job, or can you help me with this thing, I think is another thing. A lot of students want to do everything by themselves and like be that one person, but sometimes you do have to ask other people for help.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, especially on like that, making sure you reach out to other people and say, "Hey, can you help me do certain things?" I think when I first started with the FIF as at the club here, one of the big problems we had was we would tend to keep a lot of things like in house, or we like have 2 or 3 people working on like 5 different things, right? And so it wasn't until a couple of years, like a year or 2 after that, we realized, okay, it's fine to delegate things because you get scared it's your baby. And you're like, oh, I made this. I need to nurture it and grow this. And then you're like, oh, wait. And then you realize you can't do all that because you have classes, you might have work, you have family, friends, yada, yada, yada. So there's a lot of things you have to do. So I realized that, yeah, I can't actually do, video editing, photo editing, tweets, Instagram, and then managing teams and all this. Like, you can't do all that, right? So even if it's a small club, right? So finding the right officers, having the right officer positions is really important, I would say, if you're in leadership. And if you're not, say if you're just competing on a team, I think it's really important to, say, hey, if you have a team manager or you are the team manager, having a good like scrim schedule or practice schedule, but nothing too crazy because you have classes. And like Anna said, just saying, hey, these are my boundaries. These are the things I feel comfortable in doing. This is how far I'm willing to go for this club, especially if I'm on scholarship, right? So I think there's definitely ways to kind of like limit that, because I know burnout, it could be for anyone. I was probably burned out, say, last year because, you're doing work, you're doing school, all this fun stuff, but then it's not fun stuff anymore. But I think once you kind of like step back and like analyze things and keep things organized, I think organization's massive, because if you can kind of say, all right, this is my schedule, this is what I have to do, and you can kind of like write that down, that helps you a lot in planning your rest of your day, and then you feel better about yourself, at least for me, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely mirror that. That sentiment of making sure that people have their priorities right, and they're doing what they need to be doing to kind of avoid burnout. One other thing, I mean, I can't speak from the club perspective, but from a varsity perspective, sometimes varsity programs can incidentally create burnout in their culture, where they're recruiting kids in and they're scrimming, double blocks 6 days a week and not giving kids the opportunity to be college students. So I know at our university at Winthrop, we like to have a more balanced schedule to try and conflict or to try and combat burnout. Give people time to hang out, to get their classwork done, give them the opportunity to not need to be hooked to their computer playing Overwatch or League or whatever it is 6-8 hours a day. So if you have that culture where people are taking care of each other, people are hanging out and going to dinner with each other and helping each other with homework and stuff, people will keep each other accountable, and that definitely helps with burnout, I would say. The culture.
I'm really glad you all like had like again like just fantastic answers, because I know just coming in to the esports club here at CofC, we had a lot of students that were really interested at first, and then about 2 or 3 weeks in, we're just done. And I think, like you're saying, like you just got to let people grow during this college time. And I think this is all just really a wonderful wealth of information you guys are offering. So let's kind of kick it down over to if you could change one thing about esports, what would it be? I feel it's kind of a taboo question, don't get me wrong, but don't feel afraid, I think there's plenty of options here, so by all means, whoever wants to go first, floor is yours.
I'll go first, I guess. If there's one thing I would definitely change, I would say probably like some of the mentality in esports. A lot of it's like really adopted from like the hustle culture, where it's like it's the gig economy we're kind of living in now, like the Uber type economy. We're like, oh, this is a side job, but you're working 40 hours a week type of thing. And it's kind of normalized to an extent. I know this is like the whole meme on Twitter the past couple of days with the swords from that, I forget what movie that is, but I've been seeing it all the time, and I'm sure y'all seen it too. Yeah. So my opinion for that would be, I don't understand the idea, the glorification of, oh my God, I've worked so much and now I don't have a life anymore, and that's cool. And I'm like, no, it's not cool. It's not fun, right? So like when I was like just a manager of the Rocket League team, one of the big things we would do, right? We would go out, we go to like Mama Kim's for Korean barbecue, or we go out and play soccer, do different things, right? Go to the beach. We had like a team, fun, family culture, right? Obviously, not every team is going to click like that, but for us, we became, really, really good friends, and we're all really good friends even after some of them might have graduated. So, I mean, stuff like that. Well, I wasn't like, all right, guys, we're like scrimming 3 hours every day. We have to be the best team in South Carolina. We're better than Clemson. We're better than everybody else. We're going to be better than UCF. It's not realistic, A, and B, you can't just have these unrealistic expectations, right? So I think the idea of like trying to like, force people to be this like hyper productive version of themselves is crazy, because a lot of times when you're like being productive and you're working all the time, I think your actual efficiency goes down, because you're just working, and your brain's like just falling apart, and that kind of falls into the whole burnout category. So that's what I would change, like the whole like hustle mentality.
Yeah, another thing that's kind of tangential to that I would like to change in esports is people kind of have a default mindset of like they're competing against each other. Like it's a competitive environment, so people's mindsets automatically go to that like negative place where people will tend to, instead of build each other up, they want to tear their competitors down, right, to be the best. And I feel like that is prevalent in esports right now, where people, instead of building themselves up, building their program up, they're just so quick to hate and to kind of try and tear down the big programs. And honestly, I think that's just like such a bad mindset that is kind of prevalent in esports.
It's that like, oh, they had all the scholarships, so they bought all the
Yeah.
good players, so we have no chance
Right.
type mentality. I get what you're saying. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about buying players, but we don't buy any of our players. But anyway, um, I think for me, just having been in student leadership, having worked with players, like doing all of that, I think one of the things that I personally wish would change is the emphasis on like mechanical skill, or just like uh, preference for that over communication, professionalism, things like that. Because I think that and this is probably a little bit easier to manage when you have a varsity program and you're giving out scholarships and you have something to hold those players to. But I think for me, when you're good at communicating, when you can handle feedback, your team can improve significantly faster and better than if you can't. And people won't want to work with you if you don't know how to receive feedback or to give feedback, or just how to treat people in general. I mean, it's the Wild West, right? Like collegiate esports, and I think that for me, I over 2 years, I think I changed significantly, and it was because I was open to learning. I was open to admitting that I made mistakes, things like that. And so I wouldn't necessarily call it ego, but that's the word that comes to my head, right? You can be a good player, but you always have to be willing to improve. Like I say this all the time, you can be my friend, and I know my friends are not perfect, but as a player, I expect you to always look to improve. What can I do better? How can I speak better? How can I change the morale for my team? Stuff like that.
I get you. So that kind of like the humbleness of knowing that you aren't always like going to be right about absolutely everything, period. I totally agree with that. I think it's wonderful to see teams like one of the teams in Texas like 2 or 3 years ago just wasn't really competing all that well in Siege, and then like nowadays they're really holding their own, which is insanity. They go from somebody who's knocked out like first to somebody who's knocked out maybe like fourth or fifth, and even though that's like it sounds like a small number, it's real when they're going up against players that are at a higher ranked, higher skill set, and it's just that coordination and team building that just really cracks down into it. So here, let's get into who's your favorite figure you've met in your esports space. Like I feel like everybody gets a little starstruck, but who's someone you've met that really made an impact on you?
Now I have to think about all the people I've met, because there are definitely people I've looked up to, but it has to be somebody that I've met. So
Yeah, I get you. It looks like Zeke wants to go. I see him doing the shuffle.
What? I was just looking to make sure somebody else was going first. I don't want to go. I hate going first.
All right,
I mean, if you
I
want,
heard you want to
can.
go first.
Zeke, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Honestly, some of the coolest people I've met in esports, and some of the people that I feel like I kind of look up to the most in esports, or admire what they do in esports, are in the collegiate space. And one of them's Dan Clerkey at Maryville. Honestly, he knocks it out of the park over there. And just like anytime you can have a conversation with the guy, it's like, it's always insightful. Another guy who's kind of been out of the collegiate esports scene for a while, that I met a couple years back that really impressed me, was Drake Porter. And that's a name you guys, I don't know if you guys even remember who that was, but he was the Columbia College League of Legends coach way back
Gotcha.
when.
That's a throwback.
Yeah, throwback.
I
Yeah.
like it. There's nothing wrong with the throwback. You
No,
know?
nothing wrong with throwback. I would say my favorite's probably Ocelot from Carlos from G2. The man, funniest man in esports. He doesn't hold back anything. Like his online personality is the same as his personality in real life. I just love that. But if we're sticking with like collegiate, I would definitely say I know only because he's watching mostly. Adam from Antor from Aquinas, love the man. Also a South Carolina boy. Got to give a shout out. Big fan. But there's been so many, in terms of like great people in collegiate. Of course, you have to give your flowers to Clerky, Felicity Fletch from Illinois Wesleyan. It's a long list. You could go Doc Haskell from Boise State. You could pick your poison and you can't really go wrong. There's been so many great people in the scene. So, that's what I would say, sure.
You took Fletch from me, so I mean, shout out. But I think then I'll just do the cop-out answer because I really love my job at Evil Geniuses. So Anthony, my boss, he's super awesome. We get to talk about collegiate all the time. He does great work there and makes sure that all of the brand ambassadors are all taken care of. And it's just been such like a great time. I started in February, so it's only been 2 months, and I'm having such a great time there. And yeah, I think that he does a great job of like making sure that the culture like is great. The BAs are practically like family to me. They're all awesome, and so he also does a great job of just picking people that are going to do great stuff, and he lets us do great stuff too. So, yeah.
He gives you that autonomy that you need in order to perform well, and I can tell that like just based on it, like you were smiling the whole time you were talking about it, you really do enjoy that job, and I'm really excited about that. It's good to hear. Here's a really good question that I got asked a lot to ask by some of our club members. What's some good tips to your average attendee going to their first LAN? Because I feel like there are some definite LAN taboos to avoid, right? What would you say is probably your number one, like, you gotta hit on this? Of course, you can give us more than one or two, but, what are some big ones you want to hit on?
I'll take the easy answer. Your bag that you pack your peripherals in and stuff like that. Ibuprofen, snacks, water. Stay hydrated. The most important thing is staying hydrated. It's a long day. You're going to end up with headaches. You're going to end up with, people underestimate that first LAN they go to. They underestimate what it's like showing up at 9 a.m. and playing until 10 or 11 at night. Sometimes, and it can be a long day. So snacks, ibuprofen, all that fun stuff.
Marathon, not a sprint. I like that.
Yep,
that's good.
And I would say to build on that, definitely, I would say be nice and respectful. There's nothing wrong with like popping off. Obviously, we love seeing that in esports. Nothing wrong with, being confident in yourself, but don't be cocky. I mean, you can be if you're, some schools and that's just how you are and that's how your culture is. And I mean, so you're the villain. We love a good villain, right? I mean, hell, EG is live evil. So I mean, hey, you got to be a villain every once in a while, but like, be a nice villain. Don't be one that's like nobody likes, right? So there's few things I don't like more than having someone like that's just like being rude for no reason. I think it's great to be someone that's like, fun, energetic, and you're like, you're talking trash, I'm talking trash back, but we both are going to shake hands at the end of the day. But if you can't do that, then I don't think you should be going to a LAN. So
that respect and integrity, I really like that. I feel like it's a fantastic note to hit on.
I think kind of echoing what Zeke said a little bit, you are representing your school and you need to be cognizant of that. As risk manager and when I was the esports director, I was the designated babysitter. So I'm the person who's booking your hotels, checking you in, making sure you're on time. And, watching different teams, like people will notice if your behavior is like not that great or you're bothering people, whatever, but usually that's not a problem. And I would say if you're a player, just like have some fun and like meet some people. That's probably one of the biggest parts of just going to LANs is that everybody is converging and you get to meet people from everywhere. I know when I went to Queen City with our Rocket League team, that was a year ago. I got to meet like the Akron players. I got to travel for the first time. That was super cool. But also, if you're looking to go into a career, network, be prepared with like your 30-second introduction. Like, this is what I do. Like, I'm interested in this. Like, it would be cool to talk to you because a lot of esports people are actually super nice and they're happy to talk to you or at least learn about your program. So, yeah.
I feel bad. I didn't see you there at Queen City. I remember, like after the fact, like, yeah, I was there. I'm like, oh, I didn't see you. I saw FSU
Yeah.
because we lost to FSU first round, which I'll never forget. I still
Never
blame the
forget
fact there
them.
wasn't heat because there was their hands were cold. We won the first series. It's yada water under the bridge. But like there were so many people there. Like I met a lot of people, but everyone was like, oh, I saw you there, but I didn't have a chance to talk to you, right? So, but you're exactly right. Networking is a great thing. I've met so many good friends from Atlanta, like DreamHack Atlanta, Queen City, ESO1 New York, a lot of different events you go to, always meeting people. And I think most people are very friendly, right? Like you're running somebody, and even if they're talent or they're working the event, they're more likely going to be able to say, hey, and talk to you for like a minute or two, right? If you ask them nicely, right? So definitely that's a great point for sure.
I really like that you guys kind of harp on that for a little bit because I think honestly something that I've noticed a lot with just like not just like esports, like athletes, but just gamers in general is they're very shy, like introverted, a good portion of them. And I feel like especially at events where you're big, I feel like the thing that people get stuck up on is like, oh, but what if they like don't understand what I'm talking about? Like I'm a gamer, blah blah blah. You're surrounded by other people in your space. What do you have to be afraid of? They're all right there with you, you know?
I just want to say, like, when I started college, I was the most shy person ever. I liked video games and I played League of Legends pretty much 3 or 4 hours every day after school before I went to college. Um, and I think a lot of students are like, I'm never going to get good to talking at people. Well, I did it. It took me like a year, but I kept pushing and like I'm okay with talking to people now. And I think a lot of people are like, wow, she must be an extrovert. Like she must have grown up and like she just knows how to talk to people. And I'm like, no, I just, I practiced and I got good at it. And being able to talk to people is also a really valuable skill that communication, people love it. So yeah, just interject.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I completely agree. I feel like it's a very undervalued skill to learn, because it'll help you throughout your whole life. And now's the time to do it. Who cares if you look like an idiot when you're young, you know? Looks a lot worse when you're like, 30, 40, still making dumb mistakes. But, here, let's go ahead and go, what's something competitors should consider when trying out for their local esports team? Right? Anything you guys think that really they should know up front?
I think if you're going to, talk the talk and walk the walk, like be prepared for tryouts. Don't treat it as just another game. At least for esports at UCF, we do tryouts guaranteed once a semester. We have to have a full process where we bring you on, and you sign some forms, you join like our roster officially. And you need to watch out for those dates and you need to make sure you show up and you show up on time and you make time because when there are 20 other people trying out, we want to make sure that they are able to try out and we're not going to push back tryouts because you can't make it. And also be respectful. You could end up playing with some of those players. I know that, sometimes you get tilted or whatever, but like make sure you're on your A game. Make sure you're respectful and make sure that you're on time because you have to be on time for your matches if you play for us.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I guess we have a smaller club, obviously, so it's a little tryouts are always be a little different. You probably have more people filling a roster slot, but I definitely think one big thing is like don't lie and say that you're a higher ranked than you really are, or say that I know XYZ players and you really don't. So try not to overrepresent yourself, right? Because it's not going to make it look good. Because at some point, your manager, your coach, or your teammates will look into that and say, well, this wasn't true. This didn't pan out. And you're setting these high expectations. And if you can't fill those, no one's going to be happy with you. So I think that it's really important to just be honest. And because at the end of the day, if it's not a varsity program, you're not playing for a scholarship, you're playing to have fun. You might win some money at some point, right? Especially if you go to a really good school for whatever you play in. But, just don't overrepresent yourself or don't falsely represent yourself because it doesn't make anyone but yourself look bad. So.
For our tryouts, I would say, when we bring people in for tryouts, one thing to be cognizant of is like, yeah, always try and play your best, but don't play your best at the detriment of others. Like, you know, there's some games like Rocket League where like, you know, you could be a really selfish player and, you know, that doesn't necessarily come off as well. Or, you know, in League of Legends, like you might be, you know, dunking all over your mid lane opponent, but you're you know, getting solo kills and stuff like that, but you're like
You're
trash
leaving
talking
out in
your
the
own
team fight
jungler
and
or
all that
whatever.
too.
Or
Yeah.
you're exactly. You know, it's bring the right attitude and you know, play within the team and stuff like that because you're trying out to be, you know, part of a team. And you know, one thing that's really important is having that non-toxic attitude too, because you could be the best player in the world, but if you're, you know, a jerk, no one's gonna want to play with you. So you're gonna have a tough time, you know, getting past when we reach out to, you know, the players that are already on the team, and we're like, hey, what did you think of playing with blah blah blah? Oh yeah, he popped off, but you know, he's kind of a, you know, a hole. So,
Oh yeah, I think it's definitely like leaderboard is nice, but if you can't work with a team, this is a team sport. Individual performance certainly matters, but at the end of the day, I think that's all some like really helpful advice. Really appreciate that. So now, I would say, I know this is like probably one of those questions that most people don't love asking or answering, but how's esports affected your life, both negatively and positively? Right? I know that it's not all going to be sunshines and rainbows the same way it's not going to be all cloudy days and, you know, rainstorms.
I'll start. How about
Go
that?
ahead.
I'll
you
make
go.
it easy.
We love
Um,
it.
so I think for me, positively, I get to work on something that I enjoy. Like for me, it's much easier to watch amateur like League of Legends and enjoy it, and it's not even part of my job description. I just love esports than it would be to study organic chemistry. Again, that's why I changed my major. And I think that there's this part of when you do work and you enjoy it, it just becomes so much easier, even if you're exhausted at the end of the day. If I'm running a broadcast and I'm in there for 4 hours, it's 9 p.m., I'm tired, I still feel really like satisfied. Um, so I think that's a positive, right? Like, and don't be afraid to consider changing your major or trying something new because you could enjoy it. I think in terms of negatively, um, it's really shown that I have to have impeccable time management, or I have to, I guess, know my worth and know what like how much work I should be putting in for how much return. I'm very lucky that at my job, you know, I get to do like a lot of cool stuff, and like if I need to, you know, I can take a break every so often and focus on school and stuff like that. So like there were times where I neglected school as well, and I think that and I'm not even a player. I was just an officer, and I was doing a lot of stuff. So for me, yeah, definitely, like I had to get my priorities back in order, like especially because I don't live like with my parents. I don't live on campus, so I have to cook and clean and take care of myself too. So those are all things that you should prioritize, I guess, if I could turn that into advice.
I think that's fantastic advice. I feel like more than a few of our club members could have used that earlier. So thank you definitely for putting that out there.
Yeah, I think esports has like, you know, positively affected my life by, you know, just being able to be a part of something that I love and something that I enjoy. You know, being able to be a part of the students that we recruit's life and you know, helping them like achieve their dreams and stuff like that. You know, that's all always positive, and you know, you can't really find many other fields where you get to make that kind of impact. So, you know, I do really appreciate that. The one negative effect though is just the the amount of time and energy that go into it that I think people don't realize when they're looking at it from the outside. You know, it's a job that really like never turns off. Being an esports director, you know, you're basically doing it 24/7, and you have to, you know, like you mentioned before, you have to have that time management, carve that time out for yourself, and stuff like that. But you know, if there's an issue at 10 p.m. because somebody's in a tournament and their PC is blue screening or something like that, then yeah, that's me driving to campus, or that's, I mean, it's nonstop.
Yeah, that's
Totally
pretty
get that,
fair. Yeah, I think for me, I would say positively. I mean, I think the people that I was friends with, I would say 4 or 5 years ago, like I don't really talk to a lot of them anymore. And I think I've made a lot of new friends, and a lot of my friend circles have changed to where I think people from esports or just in gaming or people on campus from esports club, I've become really close friends with, lived with, etc. So I think that for me, for sure, I think I've really enjoyed my job through here, and I think I would say it's definitely affected my career path. I mean, I worked in esports for past couple of years. I don't know what I'm doing exactly post graduation. I might work in the industry, I might not. We'll see. But I definitely, I've loved it so far, and I think it's been great. Definitely, the negative would be definitely for sure time management or time, because you're like you said, if like in journalism, it's this event's on at like 3 o'clock in the morning, so either I'm waking up differently or I'm going to bed early, and then you're like, you gotta stay up for this because it's in Korea or it's in China, right? Or it's we need this deadline done by today, or you have 3 articles due today, or you have someone forgot to sign up for a tournament and then that's due in 3 hours, or they forgot to put in their this registration and you have to talk to somebody, you have to get yelled at by somebody, you're gonna get yelled at by somebody on campus, and you're like, I'll just go there, get my beating when I have to. So it's just like, it's all part of the life cycle, right? You take your wins, take your losses, you smile through them as best you can. So that's how I look at it as well. And like, you're saying I learned how to cook and clean as well, the past couple of years, and it's been great. But, I think it's definitely kind of forged me into an adult in some ways, where otherwise I might just, kind of coast through college, where I've really loved enjoying doing this. And so happy to make the memories along the way, for sure.
I can certainly confirm Zeke knows how to cook. Super Bowl, he made this big deep dish pizza. Golly, next time you guys are in Charleston, you'll have to have some. It's fantastic. Let's shift gears to something I guess that could be a little embarrassing. What's the biggest mistake you've made in esports that you're willing to talk about? No pressure, obviously, no judgment, but what do you think?
I'll talk about my first semester at St. Ambrose. So when I started the program out there, it was my first semester running a program, starting a new program, and all that, and there was a couple mistakes. That I learned very quickly at that program not to kind of overpromise and underdeliver. You never want to say you can do something for a team unless you're 100% sure you can get it done. And it probably frustrates my players now, because they'll ask me about something and I'm like, I don't have the answer. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. I just don't even give answers for things if I'm not 100% sure anymore, because things like what's the ping gonna be, and stuff like that comes back to get you if you try and guesstimate and stuff like that. And another thing out there was that lends into something I was talking about earlier with like recruiting and attitudes and stuff like that. Our first semester out there, I recruited a team, or both of my teams, basically just the best, like mechanical, the best skilled players that I could for the league team, for the Overwatch team, and we ended up with just egos, just teams full of egos, and it didn't work out. And I thought, winning cures all and all that stuff. We get 6, really good Overwatch players together, 5 really good League of Legends players together. It won't really matter, what the attitudes are and stuff like that. But no, it really, really matters. It's actually probably the most important thing.
All
So
right.
that those were the mistakes I made, but they were good learning mistakes.
Definitely. I think often we learn more from failure than we do success, because I think it's a little bit more introspective at that point. Either one of you guys want to take the ball now? What do you think?
I would say for me, as far as willing to talk about, this is a loaded question, right? There's a lot of things I could say that I'm like, yeah, we're not gonna go there. But I would say for me, working, especially I guess as a journalist, who has to do his own videography sometimes. When I went to GMX Atlanta, was it 2 years ago now, 2019? We were supposed to drive down, but people forgot that we had to land then, and so I had to get a whole different mode of transportation. I had to fly there, and then I forgot my charging cable for my camera, and the batteries weren't even were barely charged. So I could not do any video interviews the entire event because nobody else had the same batteries, and I was very depressed. And so that was one of those. And in the same vein, I was at ESL One New York, 2018, interviewing Cirque from Energy, and the camera, I think it like fell or something like that. I forget what it was, but it was out of focus. Did the interview. I went back and looked at it. And I'm like, I can't ask the guy to do it again because he's already gone, right? So, stuff like that happens. And I feel like if you're going to be doing journalism, you're doing videography, something in that field, I think there's some very big important steps there. Is like, especially if you have deliverables you need to get done, make sure your batteries are charged. Make sure you bring a charger. And if the worst comes to worst, make sure you can either go somewhere to buy batteries if you have to, or have a friend there with the same or similar camera so you can borrow them, so you're not running around with a piece of dead weight the entire event, right? And so I think that's some really, great, solid things to learn because, as I think more and more in the future, we'll see collegiate esports, like teams and clubs have like cameras and dedicated setups so they can record content. They can do fun, cool things. We've seen some of that in the past, but I think there's definitely a big market for that. I definitely think you'll see it grow more. But if you're going to do that, please don't do what I did and then mess up like that.
Don't just carry the weight of your mistakes on your back the whole time.
Maybe I should have put this in for the hot takes or you want to change, but I think my biggest mistake overall, when I came to college, out of high school, I was like, yes, everybody's grown up. They're learning how to live their life and they're gonna know how to lead a club. And assuming that anybody I interact with is going to be professional, this sounds bad, but you are the one person that you have to hold accountable above everybody else and make sure that you are being professional, because at the end of the day, you can't control whether other people are, whether they're going to treat you right, whatever it is. And so I think for me, it was like, I came into college expecting everybody was going to be an adult. There's going to be no drama. Everything, I'm running a club. Let's get some stuff done, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think for me, it was a hard lesson. Like, yes, I know I'm going to do my job. And if there's a problem, I feel like I might handle it properly. And of course, I did make mistakes on the way. And I feel like I learned a lot about how to communicate, how to give feedback and stuff like that. But yeah, I think when you find people who are really professional, or they're really good at what they do in your club, hold on to them and make sure that they know that they are appreciated and that they're doing a good job, because those are the people that you want to stick around, that you want to keep.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with that as well, because I feel like people who will say they will do something and either do it 3 days later than you needed it, or not at all and just disappear off the face of the earth, or a dime a dozen. But those few folks who, like when it comes down and I'm like back is against the wall, they're right there beside me helping me out. 100% agree with that. I feel like they're very undervalued members at times, and I would totally commiserate with the, oh, I expected to come here and everyone knows what they're doing. All right. So I think we've just got about one last question here. So, what was the biggest turning point in your careers? I know that's kind of a hard, that's a lot.
No, I already know. I thought about this one. I think for me, the biggest turning point that started the chain of dominoes to get me to where I am now was going outside of the bubble that I was in at UCF, for like esports at UCF, and starting to, I made a Twitter, and I had a Twitter, but I started actually using it, and I started like watching different panels, and I went and I joined the Genius League, and I learned how to get like resume reviews and all that stuff, and I'm pretty sure that's where I met Zeke. That's where I work now. It's part of my job. And I think that for me, like getting outside of my comfort zone, taking that very first step and being like, yeah, I'm going to put my resume out there. It's probably going to get roasted, but that's fine, because then I'm going to change it and it's going to be better than 40 to 50% of other resumes that get submitted for a job. And I applied for a Riot internship and got brutally rejected, but that's okay, because I was going beyond just being a part of my club or my varsity program or whatever it is, and starting to meet other people so that they know about me, because at the end of the day, esports is about experience, and it's also about networking. So the more people that you know, the better. So yeah.
So it's taking that shot whenever you get the chance, regardless of whether you think you're going to hit it or not. It's just what matters is, taking the shot. I like that.
Yeah, I would definitely say for me, I think it was when we joined TESPA. I think if you've been in collegiate esports for a couple of years, you probably RIP TESPA, but that definitely, I know, it started a lot of people's careers, and for me, it kind of made me realize how big collegiate esports was, how many people there were. I met so many cool people through that. My collegiate esports mom, Ayan Abdu, big fan. Shout out to her. I met her through that, and I met a lot of friends through that. And so I think once I was in the TESPA Discord, we were competing in TESPA and Overwatch and Rocket League back when they used to run Rocket League. Back when I used to play, that was a great time, and I think that I learned a lot from that. And I realized I like collegiate esports, and we can make our club more professional, and we can go from being like, oh, we're just a club that meets, has a couple teams, and then kind of meets once a month or whatever, and that we can do it more regularly, better with some backing from a big organization. And I think from that, I definitely things changed in life, and I was really happy for it. So for me, that was my biggest turning point, and then that's when I ran for vice president, and then later president of the esports club, and I think that was really I would say a big turning point in my career, at least in collegiate esports for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I guess like the easy answer is to say, when I came to Winthrop and, having spent a year out in Iowa with St. Ambrose, making a very successful program out there, coming here and like proving that I can do it again, and even that much better with the resources that Winthrop has to offer. That was a big turning point for me to kind of, I know everyone deals with the imposter syndrome and stuff like that from time to time, and being able to come somewhere new, build a new program, do it again, and still be successful, was a really big turning point for me.
I think that's a wonderful thing. You're basically you've become the Tom Brady of esports. You're like, listen, just get me, I'll take you to the Super Bowl. Don't worry about the rest.
Not quite Tom Brady, not just yet. Maybe down the line. I don't know. We'll see.
Hey, we shoot high, right? All right.
Yeah,
well,
for sure.
That's all I've got today. Thank you guys so much for coming and giving us some of your time to talk about esports. Do you guys want to go ahead and plug your socials or anything else that you might want to talk about before we wrap it up here?
I'll go first. I am obligated by my own enjoyment of my job to plug the Genius League. I don't have a Discord link with me, but if you're interested in joining the Genius League, you can follow me on Twitter at Eunykalon, EUNYKALON, and you can DM me and I will respond to you. But the Genius League offers resume reviews. We've done mock interviews in the past. We do a bunch of different seminars, stuff like that. It's a very great place for you to take your first steps if you want to become a young professional, whether it's in esports or gaming or anything in between. We're always happy to help you. I'm always happy to help you because I love professional development. Other than that, while I am retired, I do still love our esports program at Esports at UCF. We did get absolutely punked by Winthrop in CLOL, but that's okay because we have 7 different titles that we play besides League of Legends. So, yeah.
All right. I like it. I like the little bit of rivalry, too. I love it. I'll definitely have to DM you about the Genius League. That sounds like a wonderful opportunity. And I love that you said professional development. I feel like it's a very underused term.
Speaking of, for dunking on Winthrop today, I cannot wait to play them next semester in the Carolina, esports conference in all different titles and beating them in everything but League of Legends because they're goated at League of Legends. But it's okay. We'll beat you in basketball if we ever play you, if you're ever relevant again. Who knows?
Nice coach.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Wonder where I got him from.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's been great. Thank you so much, Hunter, for hosting this. Thank you for everyone for showing up. For me, it's Jamaican116 on socials, or you can follow the Esports Club at CofC Esports. We'll be doing more of these hopefully next semester, maybe later this semester. We're doing, planning on doing more of these, like, professional development talks, stuff like that. But I just want to say thanks so much for, everyone for the past 4 years. Everyone's been in my collegiate esports career. It's been a really great time. Love the Southeast. That's why I got everyone here today because, I think that it's a great underrepresented region in esports. You have Atlanta, you got Florida. There's not enough Florida events, honestly. I'm really kind of shocked. We have Charlotte. But, I do think it's been a great place to be. Nice weather. We're 10 minutes from the beach here. So really excited to see what Charleston has up for his sleeve next semester. And thank you so much, everyone who came out tonight.
Thank you again for helping us put this together. I'm always happy to host this sort of stuff. I think it's the best resource. Also, I'm so sorry, Bo. It's just been like shot after shot. It's really just like, who is this Bo guy hours? Like, wow.
Hey, I mean,
thank you for letting me graduate on your guys' stage from high school, by the way. Come on. Gotta show you guys some love.
When you're the big program in the South and the Southeast, I mean, everybody's going to be coming at you. It is what it is. We accept all challengers. Shout outs to all my players, all teams, love them all. At Winthrop Esports, that's us. Special shout out to our League of Legends manager, Emery, aka Emily. She's the best manager in League of Legends. So, she's just kicking butt. And then at WinUbo on Twitter, that's me. Follow me, send me memes, make me laugh, whatever. I love collegiate esports Twitter. It's always entertaining.
That is a 100% fact. I don't think there's a single dull moment when people tweet about it. All right. Well, I think that's all our time for today. Thank you for really just coming through and spending some time with us. I'll see you guys later. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. The VOD will be up, and we'll be kind of clipping it together and dropping it on the YouTube at some point within the next month. All right. Good night, everybody. Be safe. Stay healthy.